Hello, my name's Renae McCollum, and I'm an educator and visual artist living in San Jose, California. I create all types of artwork. You can check out my website if you're interested to learn more. But today I just wanted to share some thoughts on creating portraits and just working with faces in general. I started drawing portraits regularly in high school for art class projects and just fell in love with the subject. Um, I've explored multiple media since then, including charcoal, pencils, chalk pastels, watercolor, acrylic, but mainly now I work with pencil or charcoal for most of my commissioned portraits. And as you can see on my website, I've also been picking up a lot of pet portraits as well, which has been pretty fun. Um, my process includes I really need photos. Here's one I did of my cousin. Let me move me. He passed away earlier this year. And I start with a photo, whether it's good or bad. It just depends on who's giving it to me. But it's ideal if they have good lighting, lots of contrast. I can combine different images. I could add features or things that the person wants. For example, I did a portrait of these little kids back in high school, actually, and the grandma wanted me to um, add her front teeth in because she didn't want the gap there for whatever reason. So I can add teeth. But I use something called the grid system, and that's what I use on the reference photo. And these straight lines really help me to see the different shapes and shadows and to just get a realistic rendering of that face. So here, for example, is a photo I took of my process. I gridded the photo and then used that to draw out his face. I used graphite to transfer the picture onto the final paper. And this one I used just pencil with a little bit of charcoal at the end. And you can see the grid lines really help me to see the different curves and emotions that are in his expression here to really capture his essence. People do it all different ways. I know some artists that don't use grids at all. I know a lot of artists who can actually just draw by looking at somebody. That's always very impressive. I personally just need a photo to make sure I get it accurate. And this is a system that I find helpful and I've taught to students as well. So yeah, and it turned out pretty nice. My aunt was very happy to receive this as like a memorial portrait, and I've done a few different memorial portraits, but I also do portraits of people who are existing, living in the everyday world. Really like working with kids, their expressions, and here's one I did for my friend, just capturing the little girls looking at each other. Was really fun, and drawing hair is really fun, eyes, just capturing mouths as well, like their expression is really, I think, what makes or breaks a good portrait. Um, Here's one I did of my grandfather a while ago with white charcoal on black paper, and I think something with older people, I really like trying to draw their wrinkles, and you can just see the way they've lived over the years, and it's just so interesting to really look at closely and draw. Um, yeah, and here's just some more. I'll scroll through. Um, but they're challenging. They're not an easy thing to do. However, it's something that I do enjoy. And typically, again, I'm commissioned by somebody else, or I'll just do it as a gift. Um, this one here is something I tried to be adventurous on. It's me and my partner Christian, and there are 4 different canvases. So I was trying to be a little bit more loose with my style. This was acrylic paint. So personally, on my adventure as an artist, I'm always trying to um, reinvent my style in a way, or I guess more like think of new ways to approach the subject and the portrait, especially. How can I make it a little bit more creative? Over the years, I found that less is more, especially when drawing something so realistic, and having an obsession over like all the details and everything can just drive me a little crazy. So it's helpful to just step back and really look at each curve and line of the face to just see kind of what do I actually need to capture this expression or capture this moment from this photo. It doesn't have to look exactly like the photo, right? It's not a photo. So I just need to keep reminding myself that it's a interpretation of a photo. It's a piece of art that I created. So um yeah, it's been an interesting journey, and now I'm a teacher. So I teach the subject as well. And I find that that has been a challenge in its own way, especially teaching middle school art. Students can be very self-conscious of their face, of their body, and how do I break these social pressures that are just ingrained in them. I can't do it in one lesson, but it's something that I do try to bring to the table. We talk about like the history of the selfie, for example. Why do people take pictures of themselves? Back when there weren't any cameras, why were people getting portraits painted of them? What was the point of that? And really, it comes down to like status or capturing a memory. Um, and like, what does that mean to you? So we have some good conversations about that. And we also go over some technical things like facial proportions. I make them uh, draw a generic face, and we talk about how things are lined up. Like, for example, you actually have three eyes across. If you measure your eye, there should be one eye's length in between your two eyes, for example. So joke about how you have a third eye actually, and how other things line up in general. I usually make some sort of joke that my ears are too big. They don't actually line up where they're supposed to try to make light of the fact that each of us has a unique expression, or sorry, like more like a unique facial structure, facial features. The talking about proportion, that's just general guidelines. But each of us has their own way of being, and our own beauty is in how things are lined up, or how our eyes are a little bit bigger than um, our brothers or our friends, right? So it's okay that your facial features are the way they are, and that your neighbors are the way they are. So it can be a challenging subject to teach. But when I break it down to just like the technical aspects and like, let's just look, this is about observation drawing, um, looking at how the curves form this shape, how we can use a grid system, like I showed you earlier, to really pay attention to how the face is put together. Um, so ultimately, it's cool when they're done, and many students really surprise themselves and feel accomplished and proud that they were actually able to draw a face that somewhat or mostly looks like theirs. And especially at, again, middle school age, um, they're just developing their own self-awareness. So it's quite rewarding to see the outcome of that. But I'm always trying to figure out new ways, better ways to teach this subject. And even for me and my own practice, again, trying to explore ways to um, express myself through portraits. I have some ideas coming up about maybe doing a self-portrait with a mask on, to try to capture this past year, and like, how can I do that in a creative, interesting way? Um, so yeah, it's just been a journey. It's always a journey, whether I'm teaching it, doing it. Um, but ultimately, what I love about creating portraits is being able to share my gift, I guess, my work with others. And I know it really can bring a smile to people's faces when they see a portrait of somebody that they really loved, who passed away, or maybe one of their grandkids, one of their relatives. So it really is a special medium or special subject, special topic. There we go, portraits. And I hope you learned a little bit about me, what I do. And again, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me through my website, renaemccollum.com. I am available for commissions, and you can always just look, see what I have. There's pet portraits again and human portraits. Both are very enjoyable to make. All right. Well, have a wonderful day. Thank you for listening.